Hello, denizens of the internet. Welcome to another episode of the Get Geek podcast. Today, we're going to have a conversation about Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge. Before we get started, let's do introductions real quick. I'm Jose.
I'm Wolfie.
This is AJ.
Eli.
And this is Walt.
And what's going on, everyone out there? Just before we get started as well, let me just remind you all to subscribe to the Get Geek podcast. Search for us in the iPhone podcast app or wherever you guys listen to podcasts. And please be sure to rate and review the show. So let's get started. AJ, can you give us a little bit of a synopsis of the Mortal Kombat
Sure thing.
Legends?
So this is via newsarama.com. This movie, it's based on the worldwide hit game created by Ed Boon and John Tobias. Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge spotlights the once-in-a-generation tournament between the champions of Outworld, Earthrealm, and I'm going to add Netherrealm. A competition that will ultimately determine the fate of Earth and all its denizens. Lord Raiden, protector of Earthrealm, must gather the greatest fighters of his realm to defend it from the evil Shang Tsung in the battle to end all battles. Mortal Kombat!
Mortal Kombat!
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, cool. So let's open up the floor for a little bit of discussion. And this is going to be a spoiler review for those of you that are listening out there. So if you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. Come back and listen to our analysis of the movie and our review of the movie to see if you guys agree. And of course, again, leave feedback and let us know what you guys think as well. So go ahead. Anybody want to give their opinions as to the opening of the movie, and maybe a quick little rundown of what happens there.
Are we going into spoilers?
Do we want to?
Spoilers? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think we need to do any
spoiler.
kind of spoiler-free review, really. But just warning everybody. This
Definitely
is spoiler
spoiler.
territory.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to be decapitated by the spoilers that are about to come out, please go watch the film before you jump on our podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to lose my head over this. So spoilers, and you know what? I'll jump into a little impressions, I guess, of the first couple of scenes.
Why don't we
of
just
the-
go around and do a quick impressions from everyone, huh?
Well, yeah, go ahead, open it up.
My personal impressions. I thought that the movie was cool. Uh, I it felt like a retelling of a story that was already told, but I'll go into what I mean by that a little bit later on. But other than that, I did enjoy the movie and I had a lot of fun watching it.
All right.
I guess I'll go next. I'm in a similar vein. It was very enjoyable. We saw Walt, and Eli saw the what was it? You showed us the sound, like how they did the sound, and I think
Yes.
they did it. They summed it up perfectly there. They wanted you to cringe and just like turn away. This short, or it's not short. This movie really did that because there were times where it was just like the X-ray started coming on. I was like, oh. But on the other side, there were some alterations to the story that I noticed, and I wasn't particularly a fan of that. But either way, it was still a very fun movie to watch.
I think for my review, I think you guys already know.
Oh God.
Yes, but like, I'm gonna say the fight scenes were really what made it for me, and I'm just gonna put it at that because I want to make this as short as possible, and then I'm gonna get into the details later.
All right. For my part, I guess out of all of the people here, I'm the person that has the least amount of knowledge when it comes to the Mortal Kombat lore. I played the game like eons ago and stuff like that, and I enjoyed it back then, but I really haven't played it enough to keep up with the storyline. But I thought the movie was very interesting. Um, it was extremely bloody and gory, which I guess is, you know, a testament to the source material and whatnot.
Yeah.
The things that I did find interesting in researching this is that a lot of the voice actors from the games itself reprise some of the roles in the movie. For example, original Scorpion, Sub Zero, they were in the movie, and the person that first voiced Goro in the original Mortal Kombat movie came back for this animated film to reprise his role as Goro again. So I found that pretty interesting, and I guess a nice little Easter egg for, you know, the people that know about it and stuff. But I thought it was a pretty good film. You know, there was some points where the animation, it's a typical WB animation, but there were some points where it transitioned into a different style, which I found interesting. But we can get into that a little bit later. But overall, I like the film.
Okay, so I also enjoyed it. Overall, it was definitely better than I expected it to be because, well, you said you're not really well versed in Mortal Kombat lore. I don't really know much about it either, to be honest with
Mhm.
you. I played Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, and then I didn't pick it up again until what, like 9, I think. So it's not like I've played Mortal Kombat and really followed the lore
Yeah.
for a long time. I haven't seen the movies in a long time, so I don't know much about Mortal Kombat. Um, I do know a little bit about the revenge tale that was originally in the game between Scorpion and Sub Zero. Um, but like I said, I don't know much about this. That said, it was entertaining. I thought the action was good. I thought the animation, although like you guys said, at times it was standard WB animation, there were some parts where to me it ventured into really interesting high speed, high concept anime territory with the
Hmm.
action and the speed of the animation, the speed of the fight sequences. There was some really notable scenes. The story was pretty well done, and was fleshed out pretty well in a different way from what I understand from Mortal Kombat lore, but still pretty well. And yeah, it was a good movie. And I guess I'll save any other opinions I have for it for when we get into some more detail.
So I have a question for AJ. You mentioned that or you said that you kind of took. It almost seemed like you took a little bit of offense to certain things. What didn't you like about the film?
Well, all right. So this is more so regarding Scorpion's actual backstory.
Right.
Um, I mean, I guess looking back on it, okay, but here's what I was really trying to say. Um, hold on. Oh yeah. So Scorpion, his whole story is that the Lin Kuei clan took out his clan, which is the Shirai Ryu, right? And this, yeah, is basically Sub Zero's clan, and that's why he harbors such a hatred against Sub Zero. I like that Sub Zero. I don't remember if Sub Zero was literally the one who wiped out what's Scorpion's family. If it's new, I dig
I
it.
think that was the initial tale from the first couple of games, but I think that's changed. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If it's gone back to that, then I dig it. What I did not dig was that it was literally Quan Chi being a shapeshifter. Now, he is supposed to have a hand in Scorpion's turn into Scorpion. He's basically the one that hired the Lin Kuei to make him, kill his family. Oh, I have to live for revenge now. Quan Chi's like, oh, yeah, let's take advantage of this. And that's basically the whole thing why that is the way it is.
Mhm.
I liked it more when Quan Chi was sort of in the periphery, because that's kind of the character of Quan Chi. He's not always the one to be like on the battlefield doing the damage himself. He's the one who gets other people to do things for him. To have him take a more active role, at first it was like, eh, I wasn't very, no, like, so I would have much rather had it be Bihan do it, you know.
Mhm.
But I mean, looking on it, I guess it makes it more personal for Scorpion. And if, they're trying to make Scorpion the main guy, which, in my opinion, I'd much rather there not be a particular focus on one character. It should be, Mortal Kombat's a game where each and every character has their own backstory and how they interplay with each other. Yeah. So I guess if you're going for that, then a clever way of making it more personal, but I'm just not a fan of that.
Okay. Um, I mean, trying to, I kind of want to shift gears towards, things that I liked about it. Me personally, I personally really enjoyed actually Johnny Cage. I thought that Johnny Cage was real funny. Um, to me, he kind of like, for me, he kind of carried the movie from as far as his storyline goes. Of course, the spotlight's on Scorpion, but Johnny Cage's kind of his humor in the film was really good. I thought,
I
the
was
action, everything was great. Yeah.
I was also very surprised at how much I enjoyed Joel McHale's performance.
So I mean, that's the other
I don't
thing too.
like
Like
Joel McHale.
it took me by surprise. But here is the thing that I have. Like, well, like there's not much for me to say that I didn't like about the film. I did like a lot of it.
Mhm.
Um, the only thing that I probably take issue with on a personal level, I guess, is Liu Kang. Like certain things that happen with Liu Kang, I wasn't too big of a fan of. He's basically Neo, apparently. He can dodge bullets, which is kind of crazy. But then he still also needs to have like cover from bullets. I don't know. Uh, that's a whole nother story. The main, so I didn't really have too many things that I didn't like about the film. The only thing that I didn't like, which I mentioned earlier, or actually I mentioned before we started the podcast, I believe, is like some storyboarding issues and storyboarding in the sense of like what it looks like on the screen. I felt like there were too many, almost like near carbon copies of the original Mortal Kombat movie, and I just feel like that's like lazy writing. You have essentially the same fundamental story from the original film, with Sonya being a hard ass looking for Kano, and being tricked onto like doing this to get Kano. Like she needs to make sure that Kano's gonna be there and stuff. Um, uh, Johnny Cage like essentially slipping with all his bags and whatnot, which happened in the original film too. Just it just felt like too many of the same things that happen. Even like when they get to the island and they finally like one of the first things they do is that they go to the big dinner and all that stuff, and they see like a display, of action there. Like, I just felt like it was too much like the original film. And I didn't really enjoy that because, again, even though the movie was good, it was already done once, and it was just, I don't know, it's lazy to me. It almost feels like we just reviewed Superman Red Sun and the comic and the movie, right? And it's
Yeah.
like they made a few changes here and there, but it doesn't necessarily make it better. It's just like, I don't know. It's kind of, maybe it's not the same comparison, but just to me, it was already done. You know.
I feel like it was a bit of an homage, like an Easter egg situation, but I kind of understand where you're going
See,
with that.
but if it's an Easter egg, it would
Yeah,
just be like one thing, maybe two things. But it was essentially the exact same thing. You even had Raiden interrupting and letting Shang Tsung know that he's not allowed to attack or start anything until the tournament officially begins.
that's
Those things.
That's often been the dynamic in the stories of the games and things like that as well, though. And this seems like some sort of spiritual reboot of the story.
I
So I
guess,
didn't
yeah.
take that much issue with that because I feel like, I mean, again, I don't know too much about Mortal Kombat, but there's a few things that I understand about the mythology. And
Hmm.
this is kind of like, it's kind of like how The Force Awakens was like the New Hope. It still worked in a way because it was supposed to be like that spiritual reboot in a sense, even though it's telling a slightly different story.
I
But
don't know. Yeah.
um, what the thing that I liked about the movie probably early on the most was, and it was a little disappointing as the movie went on because there were certain scenes, and there's one in particular I think everybody probably knows which one I'm talking about. Early on, when Scorpion is attacked by Sub Zero's clan, shortly after, and again we're doing spoilers, so shortly after he finds out that all of his clan has been slaughtered, and then he finds out that his wife has been killed. He goes, for lack of a better word, he goes ape-ish, like he goes off on the Sub Zero clan, and there's a frame of animation, like a quick sequence. It's all red. It's animated completely different from every other
Yeah.
scene in the movie when he's
Hmm.
swinging at one of the Sub Zero clan, and it was a very very interesting, like almost anime style
Yes.
of
Yes.
of animation, but it was brief, and they never really did it again.
I know you're
And
so right about that, actually.
I was
Yeah.
upset by that because I thought that was so beautiful and so creative, and it
Mhm.
reminded me of, in terms of recent like little moments. It reminded me of one of my favorite moments of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, which is when
Yeah.
he fires off the Kamehameha at Broly at the end, and you see the glow of the energy in his eyes, like that quick cut to Gogeta. It reminded me like of that kind of cool intensity and that kind of like focus on the eyes. And so like that was cool. Like the some of the violence was cool, and even the use of the game mechanic, like the actual animations that they use in
The X-ray
the X-ray.
mechanic.
Yeah, the
Don't you
X-ray
feel like
mechanic
they
was
did that
cool.
way too much though?
I was about to say, like, I think it was a little overdone
Yeah.
also because they should have saved that for like much bigger moments. But like overall, like I was satisfied with the animation again, except for the more static moments where the animation was lazier. The more exciting moments I thought were a little bit better done.
Hmm.
Um, I think the animation was really the thing that got me the most excited about the movie
Hmm.
because I mean it's just like the Broly movie, like Jose said. The quality, when the quality is great for a fight, it
Hmm.
seems to do it does do better than a regular. Okay, my point is the rest of the fights were a little bit boring for me because they weren't given the same focus that was placed on the Hanzo Hasashi and Lin Kuei fight. And um I
That's
feel
true to
like
an extent.
I feel like that first fight was definitely one of my favorite fights because because I don't know why it gave me this it reminded me of this fight that I really liked. I watched it a while ago, but it was part of Naruto, and yes, it is Naruto,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
it was the Zabuza fight
Hmm.
where he had the knife in his mouth and he was getting stabbed by everybody, and but yet he just kept like killing people. It really reminded me of that, and I think that's what, I don't know why it just popped in my head just now, but I felt like that fight scene was great.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool, like he had that much heart, and he was so like badass that he could take all of that punishment and still
Yeah.
fight back. Hmm. I agree. I think the first fight scene was probably the best, if not the best, of the film.
I mean, I
But
Yeah.
thought
there
the
were
one with
definitely some other notable ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, I was
go
gonna
ahead, AJ.
say I thought the one with the reptile was pretty nice.
I agree a lot.
Yeah,
That
no,
was
there were a
very
lot of other great.
reminiscent of Predator,
Yes.
the way they did it.
Yes.
So this fight between Sonya and that takes place between Sonya and Reptile a little later on in the story. So that kind of jumps ahead to when so like we have the first part of the movie where we have of course Scorpion losing his whole family including Sub-Zero who Sub-Zero who kills his son as well. And of course just to like get a little bit deeper into it, you have the he gets resurrected basically by Quan Chi, if I'm correct, who's the Lord of the Netherrealm. And he basically does the temptation that they always do in these kinds of movies, right? Where it's like, oh, if you work for me, I'll help you like get your family back or get revenge or do, whatever it is that you want to do in order to fulfill your soul's last wish or something like that. But I mean, like all the scenes before that are still like very very interesting, and there's a lot of other good fight scenes, including the one with Johnny Cage. Like Wolfie said, he had some parts where he really carried the movie. What did you guys think? I guess of the characters to kind of like each character. How were they represented, and how much did you enjoy them in terms of all the characters in the tournament?
So again, personally, I thought that Johnny Cage was represented the most, in my opinion, the truest. Um, I guess to me, in my impression, I thought that he's felt like the most closely resembling the original character that I grew up with. Um,
Hmm.
Liu Kang also kind of felt like Liu Kang, but he felt like modern age Mortal Kombat Liu Kang, which to me felt a little bit weird when I compare it to the original Liu Kang. Like if this is Mortal Kombat, the essentially the inception of Mortal Kombat, I would have liked to have seen that original, Liu Kang that wasn't holier than thou. I'm Bruce Lee's body double, Liu Kang. So I wasn't too thrilled about Liu Kang's portrayal personally. Um, Raiden was he's always awesome to me. I feel like they never mess up Raiden no matter what they do. And Sonya Blade was a little bit too Sonya Blade. Like I get it, she's you know, female empowerment, the whole nine, but she kind of kicked Johnny Cage in the balls unnecessarily a couple times. I feel like maybe the first time he put his hand on her shoulder and she kneed him in the balls and says, "No one touches me without permission." Okay, I get it. It's the Me Too movement. But then the second time, he's literally laying down on the floor and just trying to calm everyone
Yeah,
down, and she just kicks him in the balls. At that point,
yeah,
that's just assault. That's just assault for no reason. He didn't even do anything, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. That's true. I
Um,
agree.
uh, what there was even like a third. I think she kicked him in the balls 3 times, and I just
Yeah,
felt
I
like that
think
was a
so
little
too.
bit too
Yeah.
excessively aggressive.
And he had that weird moment after the third time with Liu Kang, where he was like, he said that he didn't mind getting kicked in the balls, but only by her,
Yeah, I don't know. I
which
mean,
was
he
like
is a glutton for
awful.
punishment, clearly. But yeah, I don't know.
It was a bit much.
Yeah. I thought that Shang Tsung was again, I guess he felt a little bit. He felt more like the conniving Shang Tsung, which makes sense. Again, I'm not up to date on like the lore and stuff, but I used to be a really big fan of Mortal Kombat
Mhm.
before Warner Brothers like bought them out and stuff like that and started kind of changing it a little bit. I so Shang Tsung that I remember was obviously kind of the guy working behind the scenes. But I remember Shang Tsung being a little bit more um how do I say, like, commanding. Here to me he felt like he was a bit more sniveling. I don't know if that makes sense.
He was
But
twirling
Mhm.
his mustache a bit too much in this movie.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
he's like the old, the dirty old bastard that's like, conniving and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Whereas, he's supposed to be a fighter. He didn't seem like he was a fighter to me. That's the thing, you know. And any other characters that I'm missing out on?
Um.
There was Goro
Sub
ended up being
Zero,
in
who you
there.
saw almost
Yeah,
nothing
Zero,
of.
Sub Zero was
Yes.
just
uh,
a red
Yeah,
Quan
herring.
Sub
Chi,
Zero. Yeah, and then
Jax
here's
back on Dirty.
actually, I need to go back to that. Actually, see, here's the thing. This is why I was a little bit disappointed. Now I have my thoughts together. Sorry, guys. So this is why I was disappointed that they kind of went to the to the same story essentially from the first movie. And this is why I don't agree that it's Easter eggs, because they use too much of it. Even the same matchups: Liu Kang fought Sonya Blade fought Kano. Uh, like it was too much of the same stuff, in my opinion. When if this is supposed to be Scorpion's revenge, how do we not see more Scorpion and Sub Zero, and then in the very end get the payoff that it wasn't Sub Zero all along? Like they should kind of focus on that story more than retelling the original Mortal Kombat movie. So
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a snub because like they didn't even address the fact that because Quan Chi
shapeshifted.
because he shapeshifted into Sub Zero, and Scorpion got his titular revenge at the end of the movie, right? Since we're going to spoil territory,
Yeah,
um, he kills Sub Zero, but like Sub Zero didn't do anything, and they don't really address that. Like, yeah, Sub Zero's dead now, and like that's it. Like you
yeah.
killed
I
for no
Well,
reason.
it's not like he's completely gone.
Well, yeah,
Well, the
nobody's
thing is,
ever.
we don't
Nobody
know
really
that yet,
died.
right?
No, not even that. His brother is the one who steps up.
Right,
Oh yeah,
but so
that's
then the
true.
original
Yeah.
Sub Zero
And
is
now that
gone.
yeah.
And Sub Zero never got his day. He didn't even get a chance to. We didn't even get to see him be confused, really, at the fact that Sub Zero thinks that he killed his family. Sub Zero
No,
could
There,
at
there
least
there
was
had a
was a
couple
brief
lines.
moment of
yeah,
confusion.
there was a brief moment.
yeah.
There was a brief moment of him like kind of raising an eyebrow, but he could
Right,
have the
exactly.
fight could have been a little bit longer, and he could have been like,
Yeah,
"It wasn't me. I
right.
don't know who you're talking about." And then Sub Zero's like, and then Scorpion could have been like, "I don't believe your lies," and this, that, and the other. Like it could have been a little bit more drawn out. It could have, for story's sake, it should have been focused on a little bit more. They could have even been a first initial fight and then a second real fight where Scorpion kills Sub Zero and stuff, just to kind of like let us, let that marinate a little bit more. But no, we got Sub Zero killed. It was a cool fight scene, actually. I thought it was. I thought it was dope how Scorpion didn't give a crap. He grabbed Sub Zero and he just threw himself off and impaled the both of them together. I thought that was awesome.
That was kind of a
But
jarring moment, also, wasn't it?
what
What?
happened?
Well, that was kind of a jarring moment in the film, also, wasn't it? Because
It
it kind of felt like this was a movie that was built for Scorpion's revenge, and he gets it really early in the movie, and everybody here
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, is that all for Scorpion? Is that the
That's
end
true.
of his story?"
Wait a minute,
It-
wait a minute, wait a minute. Everybody stop for a second because he didn't get his revenge until the end
no,
when
no,
he
no. I
fought Quan
know,
Chi.
but we didn't know that at the time. You
But
know what I'm saying?
that's kind of like why to me it wasn't as big of a problem if they had addressed like what
No,
happens now that Sub Zero
I
is
agree.
gone with like a few extra minutes on the film.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
the whole Sub Zero, was a blink and you miss it type of moment where he says you're the one that killed my family, and then you had that little eyebrow raise, like Wolfie said. If you turned away in that moment, you would not have known what happened. You know what I'm saying? There was no dialogue, attached to that. It was literally a blink and you'll miss it moment.
Well,
Um,
Yeah.
there's
yeah,
one thing I just want to say, and this is on a personal level. I'm really disappointed that they gave Baraka the short shrift in this movie. He's one of my favorite characters, and you know he's been around for since the beginning almost, right?
in the
And they
second
they kind of
one
they
of the
kind
first
of put him to the side, and I get the fact that he's not a big character, and like I said, this is just a personal thing for me, but Baraka has always been my favorite character, just design wise, with
Yeah,
the blades and all that stuff. And he had a decent fight, but I
No,
thought
I don't. That wasn't even a fight. It was
right,
just
no.
exactly. It
Johnny
was a
Cage backing up.
chase. It was a chase the entire time, really. You know,
Yeah,
so
exactly. Oh, that's another issue that I had. I understand, like, yeah, we got Johnny Cage to show his moves the very first time saving Sonya Blade, but I felt
mhm.
like that was kind of crappy to like not show him fight Baraka, which yeah, it does suck. And then also like in the trio fight between Liu Kang, Johnny, and Sonya Blade, they also sat him out. Like
Yeah, they
Sonya
did.
literally sat him out. If anything, that's almost that's like, you know, like he was literally, hey, I can fight, I can do this, and she's like, no, you can't, sit down. You know what I mean? That's like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's like, you know, anti-manonism, I guess.
Yeah. Listen, Johnny
Misandry.
Cage for the
Oh,
most of the
misandry.
film, he was Ben Stiller in Tropic Thunder, you know, because the entire time he thought that he was contracted to do a film,
That's true,
and
actually.
and that was actually kind of a fun thing because even Raiden was like, you know what? Luke
Yeah,
Kang was like, should we tell him? And Raiden was like, nah, I'm actually having fun with this, which I thought was a very cool moment because Raiden is usually very deadpan. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah, he'll figure it
yeah. I
out.
thought
This
that was
guy.
funny.
What'd you think of some of the other characters, Walt?
Well, Reptile was interesting. They gave him this Predator vibe, and I thought that fight was pretty cool for what it was.
Mhm.
Um, the like some of the sub like Goro is like a huge character in Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat.
Nice
He
guy.
had basic he would is another character that was kind of sidelined here, you know what I'm saying? They brought him out to do one thing, was to give Jax his origin story in terms of ripping his arms off, but we never got that paid off at the end because we were constantly expecting that Jax was going to show up with his metal arms,
Not really.
and we never
Yeah,
I
not
did.
really. Not in a weekend.
I see the
Well,
Like,
yeah,
point.
I
I guess,
mean,
but you know what?
not
They're in a
e-
magical realm. They could have found some way to say, you know what? We need
Okay,
to we need to get you into the fight
but he's a
here.
cybernetic though.
think of it this way
Magic.
though. Like, how much are you gonna shoehorn into this movie? Because
No,
it's
no,
clear
I get it. I get it. You know what I'm
they're
saying?
gonna add this to the other films.
But
You know, like,
was Jax really necessary to the movie itself?
well, he's a
No.
part of Sonya's backstory,
Yeah,
so
Okay,
I
but
mean,
they
there
didn't.
is that. Yeah.
Right,
there
but
is
they
that.
didn't need to have him there. You know, they could have addressed the fact that he got his arms ripped off in another film
Yeah,
because it
not e-
seems like there's going to be a second film to this.
Yeah,
to
they
add
definitely
on
seem. They
to that.
definitely. Yeah, that's almost like a guarantee. It seems
But
like.
think of payoffs though. Like, I don't see these all necessarily as negatives because if you know Goro's gonna be back. First of all, like, you know how Mortal Kombat
No.
usually works.
No, not
No.
End up with the
necessarily.
characters back.
He
What's
looked
that?
pretty deaded, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Mortal Kombat is, I get why they're retelling the story is because when they're dead in the universe, for the most part, they kind of stay dead, except for like I
Yeah,
think Quan Chi doesn't really stay dead, and then Sub Zero only comes back because it's his brother that comes back looking for his revenge. Is
Scorpion
the
is
next
also
movie going to be
Brought
called?
back
Is the
to,
next movie going to be called Sub Zero's Revenge? Actually,
they can also
Goro's
be brought back
revenge, you know what I'm saying?
through the Nether Realm or through other tournaments. They've been brought back from the dead for tournaments before. So there's no to me there's no reason why you can't bring some of these characters back for the sake of a tournament. It's almost like Dragon Ball. They have the halo over their head, but they can still fight and they can still interact.
I guess.
Um,
Yeah, I guess.
so I didn't have as much of an issue with that because I feel like for me, more it was focusing on how they were setting up the characters' personalities in this is where I saw some issues, like some of you guys did. Like Shang Tsung was kind of lame, like he just seemed like a lackey for Shao Kahn, which he is, but he's powerful in his own right. So like I thought that was kind of a wasted opportunity.
Yeah,
Um,
it just seemed a little weird that this movie was titled Scorpion's Revenge, and you know there were big parts where he wasn't even involved in the actual film. You know,
I mean,
there
I
were
think.
times that he was absent for like a good 10-20 minutes, and you know that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're talking about a film that's an hour 20, you know that's a significant chunk of the film where you know he's like totally gone from the story, you know. I
did
think
get to be a
I
significant
think they would
catalyst
yeah, I
a lot
think
of
they
it.
would have been better served calling this movie just Mortal Kombat Legends and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
put in Scorpion's Revenge because you know you're expecting his story, and like I said, when he and when he killed Sub-Zero and subsequently killed himself, it was a jarring moment because it was like, okay, he's gotten his revenge. It seemed
Yeah.
like that was the end of his story, you know. So it's a
I
little
mean,
weird the way they marketed it.
Well, I mean,
However,
I
that
do get Jose's point where, like, I mean, it wasn't really, it was jarring in the moment, but then when Quan Chi, revealed himself, then we realized, okay, yeah, it's definitely, we still got more settled business. And
Yeah,
I thought that, I did actually think that, like, there was a really good payoff with the end of the film, or towards the end with the final fight between Scorpion and Quan Chi, which again brings me back to another thing that I love the fight, but I did not like it at the same time, because the ending of that fight was almost a carbon copy, um recreation of how Liu Kang beat Shang Tsung in the original movie. If you go back to it, you'll see a point of view, a Quan Chi point of view of Scorpion doing the double fisted swinging action, left to right, then right to left, and left to right again, and then finish with the double fist punch to the chest. That is exactly the scene that we get in the original movie. And again, I just thought that that was lazy writing. You
man, I
know,
gotta watch this original movie again because it's been a long time since I've
You know,
seen
and
that
the thing is, I actually started watching it today, but I had to, do some chores before we got on the podcast today. But I got all the way up to the fight with Liu Kang and Sub Zero. So I got a chance to kind of see like all the little things that this movie did, that the movie did there. But I very clearly remember that final fight scene, with Liu Kang and Shang Tsung, and then seeing that exact same choreography between Scorpion and Quan Chi, which is cool in a sense. You know what I mean? Like it's like, yeah, it's a cool callback. But when you do like so many callbacks and pretty much kind of a carbon copy of the story, it's not so much as a callback as it is a almost like plagiarism, even though it can't really be plagiarism because it's Mortal Kombat. But that's what it feels like. It's like, hey, let's copy that essay, but let's make it a little bit different, you know?
I actually felt that there was this one character that I wanted to talk about that even though she was a lesser character, she deserved a little bit more time, and it was Katana. I felt that
yeah, I was thinking
um
too.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
hmm
Liu Kang just kind of like convinced her like that easily. Like you're telling me she could have
Well,
deserved a lot more time because like in the old movie, the garbage one, right? It
Which
took a
one?
lot more.
The second one, not the
it,
original.
it, she was helping from the start, bro.
I know, but I felt like you can't. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But I felt that that was rushed. Definitely the end. I felt that the whole movie was rushed, especially that scene.
It was kind of a short movie because
No,
animation
no,
is usually a little bit shorter, but this was an adult animation film, definitely
Yeah.
by the subject matter and the violence. So there's no reason they couldn't have expanded it like another 15, 20 minutes to
Yeah.
yeah.
not have that slightly rushed feeling. I agree with that.
So can we talk a little bit about the violence in this film?
Yeah.
Because there were
There's
some
so much.
crazy whacked out moments in this thing. Now, I think Wolfie shares my thought here that I think they overused the X-ray thing a little
Yeah.
too much in the movie. It felt like every fight had at least one X-ray scene, if not two.
I feel like
Um,
we all
mhm.
seemed that. I feel like we all thought that was a little overdone because I
Yeah,
certainly
Yeah.
did. I don't know what Eli and AJ thought, but the
but
three of us at least, yeah.
yeah, the violence in this film was, I mean, it was incredible. The things that some of the things that they did in this film, I don't think I've seen in other films. And like AJ said, afterwards we kind of like watched the extras regarding the sound design of this film, and you can tell that these guys were so stoked to try and make this as viscerally in your face as possible. They were talking about how they wanted each of the punches to be almost like a booming sound. The way there were literally times where people were cut up like butchers, like a butcher would cut up a piece
Yeah.
of meat, you know.
Or
Um
when Scorpion like brained that guy in like a million different places in the first scene. Remember, he like smashes him a bunch of times, and all you see left is entrails and like brains, and there's no discernible body left. That's when he looks up and he's like, "Oh wow, look at the damage that I just did." Whoops! There's like blood in the waterfall. Yeah, it's crazy violent. I mean, I was entertained by it in a way because it was very like interesting, cartoonish violence.
Yeah, it was.
So, like, but yeah, the X-ray was definitely overdone. They could have used a lot more of that imaginative animation from early on to stylize it in a way that I would have liked more.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was kind of funny how like no matter what body part was being cut up, it just looked like a steak. If it was the head being cut up, it just looked like 3 T-bone steaks. I thought that was hilarious.
Like outlines, maybe, and that's it.
So what was your favorite kill of the film? Because I had a definitive one at the very end, but I'll let you guys talk first.
I mean, I might take it because I think that the Goro kill was definitely the best.
Yeah.
Dude, when he pulled out the skull and you can see like just the like Goro's skin essentially, and like kind of like Goro's like shock and awe, but just the outline of like the skin, like they did that so perfectly. And then like when Goro's body fell, you can see the skin just like fall down, kind of like a mask. Dude, that was probably definitely the best kill in the movie, I think.
I agree.
It was a hell of a way to make an entrance too.
And wasn't there during that piece, wasn't there a part where you were actually looking through his eyes from the back?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The flap of the skin was just there, and we're kind of looking through his eyes. I mean, that was great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was sick. That was really cool. I like that a lot.
Again, I guess we all kind of agree on that one because I thought that was really awesome too.
What other notable kills?
Well, you had Reptile.
Reptile was a nice, interesting kill.
Reptile, she basically did the assassin. She pulled the assassin wire and beheaded him from the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Baraka, again, give it the short shrift. He died because a bunch of boulders, rubble killed him. I gather from a collapsing temple.
Or did he die?
Deadpool.
Maybe that's the way of
from
preserving him.
X-Men Origins Wolverine. He's not dead. He survived the collapse.
Who else do we have? We had Sub-Zero's death.
Kano's supposed death was stupid if he died.
Yeah, that was probably the stupidest death.
He definitely died.
Wasn't even gory in comparison to all the other crazy deaths. So
he just stomped on his head and that was it.
Yeah.
Ooh, what about
I actually like that fight with
Malik.
Jackson Goro though. Which one?
Malik.
That's the demon
in hell.
The torturer, 3 eyes.
Yeah.
Triclops.
Yeah.
When Scorpion killed him at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
That was a cool
I
one,
enjoyed
too.
that fight. Like he's hanging there, basically crucified, and he's like, "Oh, who cares about pain? Let's do this."
Yeah, that was a cool fight early on, and a cool kill as well.
And the more that we talk about this, and the more that I think about it, it really was kind of that Baraka scene was really kind of messed up.
Yeah,
we didn't get to see a fight with him at all, and he's like vicious. He's one of the main characters.
Exactly. I think we should hold a moment of silence for Baraka because he was done wrong.
He'll be back. He's not dead. He's not dead.
No moment of silence.
Damn, you guys are rough, man.
Right? A moment of silence for his character and how they slayed his character's like actual coolness in this movie, but not for him because I feel like they have to bring him back. If they don't, then that's a huge missed opportunity and that's a huge waste.
Well,
I doubt that they will.
Huh?
No, I said I doubt that they will.
Yeah, I guess the saving grace isn't he like a race of aliens?
No, he's from Outworld.
No.
No, but there's a okay,
no,
so
there
but
is.
there's a race of them, right?
Tarkans.
Yeah,
So
there's a
Yeah.
race of
so
Tarkans.
maybe, just maybe, this wasn't the Baraka that we know and love. This was maybe Faraka or something like that, where it's just like
It's
his
possible.
brother.
Because
I
remember,
was
like,
His
pretty
twin,
sure I heard them
brother
say
Rock.
Baraka.
Yeah, it was.
yeah, they
Baraka.
Oh,
definitely
they
said
did say
Baraka.
it?
I'm pretty sure.
All right. So you know what?
Yeah,
It still sucks then.
yeah.
So
But
I
yeah, there is like if I'm not mistaken, Baraka had like his own planet, and Shao Kahn went through like the tournament and everything, and they lost, and they took over the planet, and
Oh yeah, their own
I think
world.
like
Yeah.
Shang Tsung had
There are
his
no
own world
aliens
too,
in
right?
this. No,
He's an alien.
there are no
AJ.
aliens in this. No,
oh no.
If he's from a different planet, that means that he's alien
they're
life.
dimensions, not no.
So what would that make?
I
them?
mean, they're alien to the Earth, even if they come from a
Thank
different
you.
dimension or a different planet.
They're not
Thank
space
you.
aliens.
I'm calling them
Like, let
extra
me ask you a
dimensional.
question, AJ. Let me ask you this: if someone came from Mars to Earth, would they be an alien?
That's an alien, but this is
All right,
different.
all right. Hold on. But if
Huh.
someone came from Mars to Earth, but that Mars was in a parallel universe, would they still not be aliens?
They're extra
Oh.
dimensional. No.
Extra
But they're still
dimensional
alien.
extraterrestrials.
So then for
So
that,
okay,
we
so
should just
fine.
have alien
He's
predator
an
in there,
extra dimensional.
bro.
So he's an extra dimensional alien. I'll give you that.
No, extra dimensional. I'm not. No, aliens do not belong in this system. No.
I don't know.
Does this race have a name?
But the Baracas.
That species.
Tarkatans.
Baracas.
They're called
That sounds
Tarkatans.
like a band.
Wait,
What
what
are
is
they
it,
called?
AJ?
Tarkatans.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my god. I was just about to search Baraka's origins or whatever, and I typed in the Baracas on Google.
What are they? A lounge act? You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like a sitcom to me.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
sitcom.
Yeah, at home with the Baracas, right?
Yeah,
Reality
right.
show. Oh my gosh.
What else? We haven't really spoken too much about Quan Chi. We've spoken about what he's done, but like,
Utterly
I actually thought that like from the little that I do know of Quan Chi, that they did do him justice because he is kind of that like
I feel that way.
I guess would we call him a warlock? You know?
Yeah, he's a warlock.
Yeah, he's a warlock, but he's the super conniving, never know what he's doing behind the scenes kind of guy. Um, I thought that they did him justice pretty well. Who here knows the most about Quan Chi?
AJ
I
AJ's
guess
kind
it would
of
be
AJ's
What's up,
kind of
bud?
disagreeing right here. You know.
No,
Yeah,
disagreeing.
he had mentioned
I
Yeah.
Please
disagree
enlighten me.
because
Enlighten
because
he's
no
not an alien?
matter what, Quan Chi is not the one to get himself directly involved in things. What he did in this movie was get physically involved with these things. It's like you said, he is the peripheral. He's the guy who's playing chess. This was not chess. This was no.
Mr.
Yeah,
Glass.
there was actually you can make the case that there was 2 instances where he tried to directly, change the situation. The first was when he shapeshifted and became Sub-Zero and killed Hanzo's family. The other one was when he tried to poison Shang Tsung. So,
Yeah.
And failed miserably.
and failed miserably. He didn't do very well, in this movie.
That is
Especially
not
towards
justice,
the end.
bro.
That's the thing.
Give
He
him
is kind of like a Darth Maul like character, right? Like he's always trying to do something, but never actually wins.
Hold
He always kind of
Wait.
gets caught,
No.
destined to fail. Yeah.
Darth Maul. I saw him more like a General Hux character, where he was kind of like bumbling
No,
along.
because he actually, you see, General Hux never actually accomplished anything. See, he did accomplish manipulating Scorpion and doing stuff, but his ultimate goal, it's like Darth Maul, makes cool stuff happen, but in the end, he's only half as good.
I mean, not even.
These unsolicited Maul comments. I've been trying to be good when it comes to attacking Boba Fett. You know what
You
I'm
can't
saying?
attack Boba Fett.
I can't attack Boba Fett because, dude, he's still dead.
and he does
It
nothing.
says who?
It says everybody.
All right, we'll see what
And
Mandalorian season 2 has to say about that.
all right, but you
All
know what?
right, all right.
At least
You
Darth
guys sound
Maul
like
has made appearances and he's done important things.
Yeah,
Right
he's made
now,
you
as
guys sound
appearances.
far as we know, as far as we
Eli.
know,
All right,
Boba
all
Fett
right,
is
all right,
just
all right, all right.
somebody's
Fine, but I'm gonna give you last
indigestion.
comment. Last comment. Okay, Darth Maul is now batting 2 for 2, really. Okay, because he made half an appearance in Phantom Menace,
Oh my god!
but also in Han Solo, he was supposed to be in 2 movies, but they only made one. So you know,
All right, back to
All I'm gonna say is, you take Boba
Scorpion,
Fett with a side of Pepto Bismol. That's all I'm gonna say.
all right, back to Quan Chi. Okay, keep the Star Wars for the Rise of Skywalker rant. All right,
I'm gonna send you a cop. I'm gonna send you like 12 copies of Rise of Skywalker. I'm gonna send them not only to your house. I'm gonna send it to the dojo and any other
that's
place
cool.
where
I'm gonna
you
use
could
them as
frequent.
coasters.
You know
I'm
what
gonna use
I'm
them
saying?
as coasters while I drink coffee out of my
I will
Boba
send
Fett
it to
coffee
your
mug.
barber shop.
Oh man. Hey, you guys want to play frisbee in the park after this whole thing with the pandemic is done? I'm gonna have 12 awesome frisbees. All
Anyway,
right, back to Quan Chi.
yes, exactly.
last time I checked, he was not a shapeshifter. If anyone was gonna be doing the shapeshifting, it'd have
Really?
been
Shang,
Shang
Shang Tsung,
Shang
yeah,
Tsung.
right?
Oh, that's true actually too. I never actually thought about that.
Not even that. It was just I'm gonna quote Eli here for once. The way that he messed with Scorpion
Say it.
was corny.
Hey, yo, somebody finally.
All
Corny.
right.
Like I impersonated Sub Zero and got the entire Lin Kuei to follow me.
Yeah, yo, that's
Come on.
exactly what I got.
I think it would have been better if like it really was if it really was Sub Zero
Yes,
who had done
that's
it,
how
and
it
Quan
is.
Chi had actually manipulated him, because that change in the story was not my favorite part. I
What
thought that
he
it would have been keep it the same way, and
what
then
Quan
he could have at the end, at least Scorpion could have had more of a story in getting revenge, not only on Sub Zero but Quan Chi, but like in a separate way, in a less
yes,
like
so
do anything way.
here's what actually as far as the recent continuity goes, here's how it goes down. So aside from Sub Zero being within the Lin Kuei, there are also two other characters that are part of the Lin Kuei. That's Sector and
For real?
what's his name? The other Cyrax.
The two
For real?
robots.
Yeah, the guy who become cyber.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the machines. They're part of the Lin Kuei. In at least as far as MKX tells us, Quan Chi hired the Lin Kuei through them to take out the Shirai Ryu. If you wanted to go along that route, what you could have done was you could have left it the way it was, have Sub Zero do the whole thing. But when Scorpion goes to fight Sub Zero, he just goes, bruh, it wasn't personal. I was hired to do it. And then that's going to
Right,
get Scorpion to go, I wonder who hired you.
and
Maybe
still
they're the
kill him.
person I should go after. And then
Still kill him.
he finds out, it was Quan Chi. Maybe I should kill him instead. Much better
Yeah.
storyline, in my opinion.
I mean, he still kills Sub Zero though. He kills them both, but like it's a better storyline with it the way that it was before, with Sub Zero having some personal agency in it, like not just being not even there as it was in this one. I didn't like that reveal very much in terms of the characters, and I thought Sub Zero was super underutilized in this movie.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they
At
really should
least
have
it
just.
gives.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. At least the situation I proposed gives him a little more screen time. Like he doesn't even
Yeah,
have to kill Sub Zero right away. They could be fighting, and as they're fighting, he goes over the whole. Well, I did, dude. It was just a job. I was hired.
yeah, I agree. That would have been better.
I mean, the thing is that like the original story was already good. The original story is Sub-Zero kills Shang Tsung. I mean, he kills Shang Tsung. I mean, not Shang Tsung, Scorpion. He kills Scorpion because Quan Chi manipulated him. That is the original story. Quan Chi manipulated Sub-Zero to kill Scorpion, and he wanted um, Sub-Zero to get the amulet from Shang Tsung. Um, but he also wanted him to kill Scorpion so that he can then also have recruit Scorpion to go get the amulet too, so that he can have double the chances of getting the amulet. You know what I mean? Like, if they had just stuck to that story, it would have been great. It would have, because now any rivalry really doesn't make too much sense. Aside from, like, obviously Sub Zero's brother coming to kill Scorpion because he killed his brother. Um, it doesn't make sense if you could be like, hey, my bad, but I thought that he killed my family. Let's bygones be bygones. But the rivalry is never. It's just never going to feel the same if this is the direction that they're going to go. You know.
True.
Yeah, they undid that bit of canon that was so essential
Yeah,
to Mortal Kombat.
and it's
Uh,
like, why?
What's up,
I
Eli? Did
think
you have some?
something that really bothered me was when Scorpion threatens Shang Tsung, and Shang Tsung just immediately takes it and literally gives it to them. And I felt that since he's like, I don't know too much about him, but I figure that he's supposed to be a higher being, right?
Who?
Like Shang
And some.
Tsung.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
he's empowered by like millions of fallen
Yeah, the
warriors.
fact that he
yeah.
gets threatened by Scorpion, and in fact
He
he
got him in a
gives
sleeper hold,
he
and he gave up.
Yeah,
that
Well,
Nice.
with a freaking blade to his neck.
But I
he could have
mean,
gotten out of
yeah, he
that.
could have
He could
gotten
have
out of
gotten
that
out of
though.
that.
yeah, he's supposed to be like the ultimate character in the first game, pretty much. So like, what the heck? Like, why wouldn't he be able to do at least a little bit more damage than that? I think somebody else had said it before. Like, he's disappointing because he really doesn't do much other than threaten Quan Chi. When Quan Chi like reveals himself to be the rat and he tries to poison Shang Tsung, he doesn't impose himself physically and show off the fighter that he is other than that scene, and he just kind of snivels and gives up otherwise and says like, "Oh, Shao Kahn will get you now." So yeah, I think he was a wasted character a bit in this movie. They should have had somebody else play that role.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I think did we cover everything? Is there anything that we're missing?
Who would you like to be
Covered.
in the next movie? I think that's how we should end this.
I
Ooh.
think
Yeah,
it's pretty obvious who's going to be the big bad, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Shao
Well,
Kahn. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I think the
Score.
next movie is obviously going to be about Liu Kang and Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious also.
Well,
Yeah.
Uh,
if they killed Bihan, I definitely want to see a Noob Saibot.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Well, I
I
mean,
was
we're
thinking.
definitely we're definitely going to see Sub Zero's little brother.
Yep, Kuai Lang.
hmm
Yeah.
Raiden will
What
be back. Sonya Blade will be back. Hopefully, we get a little bit more of Jax Briggs, right?
Yep.
That's his name.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely coming back, I think.
There
Yeah.
was what? There was Kano. Kano was kind of lame. I don't care if he comes back or not. What about? Well, there was no Kung Lao, right? I don't
Unless
think
they
I
bring him
saw
back
him.
from the dead.
mm.
What was he in this? Kung
No, he's
Lao?
not, but
He was
he's
never
dead.
mentioned.
He was never mentioned, but he shouldn't be alive because remember, Liu Kang is Kung Lao's descendant, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Makes
So
Okay,
kind of
if he were to come in this realm, he would have to come,
from the
basically back
past,
from the dead and stuff, back from
something
Outworld.
like that.
Ooh.
Okay,
They can make him a. They could follow MKX. They could have. Well, Quan Chi is actually kind of dead, so maybe they can't do that. But what they did in MK10 was he made a bunch of the original fighters revenants.
Ooh,
that'd
I
be
would want to
interesting.
see that, bro.
well,
Definitely.
Melina wasn't in this either, right? So
Yeah,
she probably.
I
Well,
mean,
that's because
Katana
Katana
definitely
hasn't joined
deserves
the trail yet.
more because she's a flagship character. She's supposed to be the character from Outworld that joins the Earth the Earth realm, right?
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's pretty important, I think, too.
Boraicho.
Oh yeah.
Oh God,
Oh
no.
man, no, no, no. I
All
think
right.
No,
Bo Raicho.
guy's
Yo.
annoying.
No, that dude is straight up fire.
Dude, Freddy
Yo.
Krueger should be in it. They should bring some of the DLC characters, like the Terminator
No,
and Spawn.
I think that that one mistake that they could make is bringing too many of the characters on the movie, because then you might have like what ended up killing for me. I thought that the original Mortal Kombat movie was great. What killed the second movie is that they wanted to have every single character from Mortal Kombat 3 in there, so then you didn't have enough screen time for all the characters. So I think that like they should definitely stick to maybe just a couple, like maybe three or four new characters. That's it, and then we can actually have the longevity of this, Mortal Kombat universe keep going with
I
movies.
I've got an interesting idea, and I know it's really out there, but it's part of the video game lore. And I know they're not going to do this in the next game, in the next movie. And if like you said, there is longevity to it, given the fact that this is a WB animation film, what do you guys think of ever doing a Mortal Kombat versus DC film?
Oh,
It's in the same it's
No,
in the
no,
same
no,
type of thing
no,
because it is a
no.
video game. That's the thing. That was the
they are owned
precursor
by
before.
DC, and there's
Yeah,
a multiverse.
I
that
don't
was the
care. I
precursor
don't
to
care.
Injustice. You know.
No.
I mean,
Yes,
who's
I
gonna
have.
fight Superman? Like, there's just some characters that won't have a level of power. Like the power scaling is gonna be ridiculous. Like, how
Listen,
are
do
they
you
gonna
guys
have?
want to know how Mortal Kombat and DC ended up actually even happening?
Go for it.
So I was privy enough to like be friends with friends with a bunch of people that worked at Midway, that worked on a bunch of their titles and stuff in Midway Austin. And um unfortunately Midway went under, and WB bought Midway out just for the license, but they still were not able to like successfully launch a good Mortal Kombat game. So they thought piggyback it off of the DC characters and dumb down the fatalities and the gore just to appeal to a wider audience. That's the only reason that we had Mortal Kombat versus DC and Injustice and whatnot. It's the only reason they ran with it, of course, but they don't belong together. They really don't. The only reason it happened is because it was the only way to give Mortal Kombat a lifeline when all that happened. And
Yeah, I
this
was
is
just throwing
maybe
it
some
out.
insider information, but yeah.
Yeah, I was just throwing it out there because I when we were talking about what we want
Yeah,
to
well, take
see,
it back.
you know. Well, it could be like a tournament type of thing. It would be kind of in a way the way they did Battle World in the Marvel universe, where
I don't
you're
know,
bringing
man.
in champions from different places and you just have them battle out. I know it's never going to happen, but I just said it might be an interesting little thing
It
to put
can
out there.
happen. That's
It can
that's what I'm
happen.
worried about. It can happen because
I
they
know.
made games about it.
Yeah, and
Do
like I
it.
said, this is WB Animation, so they can easily bring these two franchises together. You know.
No.
All right, so why don't we go around and give this film a rating?
Yeah.
All right, who wants to start?
Go for it, Jose.
All right, I will go first. So I'm gonna give this film a 6.5. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. It wasn't what I expected it would be, and it was better than I expected it would be. Um, I don't think it was a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. Um, there's like this line for me when a movie is a little bit more entertaining when you're a little more engaged in it. And this movie, I was definitely watching it, but I was you know how it is sometimes when you're watching a movie and you're definitely enjoying it, but you're slightly distracted. So like it wasn't like the best movie of all time for me. I thought some of the characters ended up sucking. Like Kano was lame. Baraka's story ended up being lame, as we've all discussed. Sonya was weird for some reason to me, and her character again, yeah, is kind of supposed to be like that, but there there
Child of
was
1000%.
yeah, I don't know. It was yeah a little too turned up, and for the most part, like most of the other characters are good. Liu Kang was pretty good, except for like, yeah, some of his like Matrix, like the one characteristics that they had near the end,
Yeah,
was a bit much, and the villains, right, were also like not fantastic. Although I actually thought Goro was one of the more entertaining and better ones,
that's
just
true.
because he was a simple bruiser in this one, and Quan Chi Sang Sung not so much. Um, the way that they kind of intertwined all the stories together again worked pretty well for me. The changes weren't all that great. Again, I think Sub Zero should have actually been involved in the killing of Scorpion's family and his clan the way that he always has been. That's not something that you should really change. Um, and again, the animation was a thing that I have to mention because it had so much promise at points, and there were definitely some spots, especially in the action scenes, where it was great. Um, the overuse of the X-ray was a bit much, but I really missed the promise of like that first cut in the early film with Scorpion going off on the Sub-Zero clan, and I was hoping for more imaginative moments of animation like that. That didn't pay off really big. So yeah, for me overall, for those reasons, it was a 6.5. Passing grade, entertaining, worth a watch if there's nothing else on. Not something that I'm gonna chase down otherwise.
I'll follow up on that. I'm gonna go a little bit lower than you. I, I, to be honest, I almost want to give it a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I saw so much of the first movie in this, and I enjoyed the first movie so much
Mm-hmm.
that it's hard for me to give it a, you know, a comparable number. If I were to rate the original movie, I apologize. Sorry for the burp. If I were to rate the original movie, I'd probably give the original movie an 8.
Mm-hmm.
And just I started, like I said, I started watching it today, and like looking back on it, I'm like, man, like this movie was, you know, like a really, really good video game movie. I mean, it was great, I thought.
Hey Gabe,
Um,
does that movie age well?
yeah, I thought it did. There's a couple things that like, like a reptile didn't look great, because he was an actual reptile. Um, uh, the CG for reptile didn't look great, but like outside of that, they didn't use too much CG. They only used CG for Sub Zero stuff, which was really well done for its time. And other than that, I thought, I saw the last fight scene that I saw was Johnny Cage versus Scorpion, and I was watching the choreography of that fight, and that fight was actually amazing, and it was long, it was definitely very meaty, and I saw that, I'm like, man, this is actually a really, really great martial arts film. So I'd probably
Mm-hmm.
give it like an 8. So
Okay.
for me, I would probably give this movie, I guess, a 5.5, bordering on a 6, um, because again, I saw too much of the first movie, and I thought that the first movie did that better. You know, if this was going to be a Scorpion's Revenge movie, it should have been, honestly, it really should have just been all Scorpion, Sub Zero, and Quan Chi, and maybe set up a second film where you, like, by ending Scorpion's Revenge with them deciding to go to the Mortal Kombat tournament, and then the second film would have been the Mortal Kombat tournament. That would have been better. So we have a more fleshed out story on the history of the Lin Kuei, the history of the Shirai Ryu, the history of Quan Chi and Shinnok, and all of that, and just see more of the Lin Kuei Shirai Ryu rivalry is what I would
Mm-hmm.
have, what I expected to see.
Okay.
But you know, a little bit misleading, and just not as well done as the original movie, in my opinion.
So what was your final rating?
5.5.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna lead in a similar vein. The title is really misleading because, like, just like you said, if this is gonna be a movie about Scorpion, you'd expect to see more of like the inner workings of the Shirai Ryu, the beginnings of the rivalry with Sub Zero, so what and so forth. Um, Again, I wasn't keen on the changes they made, but it was still an enjoyable movie. But for me, as fun as it was, still not liking those changes. Nah. And yes, if I had to really give it a rating, yeah, I think I'm resting at a 6.5 too. Like, I mean, when I heard
Okay.
that this movie was coming out, I really had my hopes up. Like, wow, this is gonna be like an actual Mortal Kombat movie. Not the other one way back when was good, but like it had its very noticeable cheese. And here's a chance to extract all that cheese. But there was still a certain level of cheese, particularly with Quan Chi, which is disappointing. So
Yeah.
6.5 it is.
All right.
I like how you say if I had to give it a rating. Well, you're on a podcast about
kind of
rating movies, reviewing an episode specifically
It's a
about.
figure of
Yeah,
speech.
I know.
Wire.
I'm messing with you.
It's the
Eli?
law.
Oh no,
Okay.
you want to do it?
Um, I think you guys all know what I'm gonna say, so I think you don't want to. I don't think you want to ruin this movie like way too early. So I'd let Dad do his thing.
Okay. Well, if I have
Mm.
to follow that, then you know. I'm gonna echo what everybody else said. The name of the movie is misleading. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. You guys have said enough about that. Um, I found it just like all you guys enjoyable. I had fun with the level of violence that was in this film. I think that's probably the highlight for me was just seeing the inventive ways that they were just offing people left and right.
Yeah.
Um, and to your point, Wolfie, the whole cut the guy into pieces and he still looks like a piece of steak thing is apropos because everybody that got sliced up, and there was a lot of steak to be had in nether realms afterwards. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Again, there was some characters that were fleshed out a little bit better. Johnny Cage being the highlight of the film, and the villains of the film being kind of like the low points where they didn't get their moments. They weren't fleshed out as well. They were shadows of what we thought they were gonna be.
Yeah.
I was excited when I heard about this, especially knowing that there's a live action film coming after this. And so the way I see
Yeah,
this
no.
film really is
Yo.
it's an enjoyable film. It's something that, if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, you would be remiss not to watch it because there are some moments that are very Mortal Kombat-y in it. But to
Mm-hmm.
me, the more that I think about it, the more this is an advertisement for that live action film that's coming out. I find it interesting that on the heels of the announcement, they also said, "Hey, we're going to do an animated film to get you guys excited." We haven't had an animated film since 1996 in this with this property. There's been attempts to kind of restart it here. I think Machinima had a series that actually, from what I heard, was pretty good, but nobody saw it. So if a tree falls and
That
nobody's
that
allowed to
series was
hear it,
vicious.
you know what I'm saying? Huh?
It was vicious.
Okay, so right, but nobody saw it. So
I
it
saw
doesn't
it.
really matter. You know what I'm saying? No, I get it, but like it wasn't something that was put out there for mass consumption, which
No, no, no.
probably
I know.
they,
I'm just messing
they
around.
should have done that. You know what I'm saying? So we haven't had anything Mortal Kombat related except for the video games for a long time, and now within the span of like I think it's next year the movie comes out, we're gonna have two properties that come out. So to me, this was kind of like a big advertisement saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
this is the stuff. We're giving you what you want. We're making sure that we have the gore check, violence check, all the characters check. We've done everything. This is kind of like what you can expect for the live action film that's coming later."
Okay.
So,
You know. Wait, did
mhm.
you give your rating?
No, no, not yet.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, no, it's fine. So I was originally gonna give this film a 7 because, like I said, it's an enjoy. There's nothing truly bad about the film. It's just
Mhm.
there's nothing truly great about the film, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm gonna drop it a little bit down. I'm gonna put it to like a 6 because again, it's a movie that if you watch it, you're not gonna come away angry because you spend an hour and 20 minutes, but at the end of the day, there may be some points where you're gonna remember it, but overall, the movie isn't too memorable, as a whole. It has its moments, but then it doesn't hold it for the entire film. Easily the best part of the film was the opening act, which where you had the Hanzo Hattori fight, with
Hasashi.
Hasashi. I'm sorry, I'm mixing my franchises here. That was the highlight of the film. It never reached those heights afterwards, so that's why I give it a
Yeah.
6.
Just to kind of point on that, I have a question actually. If they're gonna reboot essentially the franchise with a live action film, are they going to retell the same story they just told about the Mortal Kombat tournament?
Who
That's an
knows?
interesting point. They,
Because
I,
they made the
I
movie,
would
obviously. I can understand rebooting and retelling that same story because we're talking about 24 years later, right?
hmm
It's 24 years. No, yeah, 24 years, you know? So I can understand like telling that same story again, but they just told it in the animation now. So I don't really want to see the whole, hey, this is the 10th tournament and we need to defeat Shang Tsung so that Shao Kahn doesn't come over here.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't doubt that it's going to be the same thing, because it is, being put out there as a reboot of the franchise. So
Yeah,
if you're gonna reboot it, you're probably gonna tell the same story again. So
right.
um, it is what it is. So
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit worried about that, to be honest.
yeah.
All
It'd be
right.
cool. They should start with the Outworld invasion if they do the movie. Because I mean, a lot
Yeah,
of
but the
people.
thing is, it's a reboot. How you can't start with that and not explain to people what all
Yeah,
this is for.
Well, I
right.
Let's
gather the
see.
best way to do a reboot of the movie is to go back to the very first tournament, but then that means you're excluding all the characters that we know and love. You know
Right.
that would be an interesting way of retelling the franchise by saying, okay, at the dawn of time, this was the first tournament, and then you keep going from there. But it doesn't seem like they're going to do that because they've already cast all most of the characters, and they are Scorpion and Jax and Sonya, and so we're not gonna get that.
All right. I guess
Yeah.
let's.
Here,
I guess literally let's go worst for last with
yep,
Eli.
here we go.
Um.
Buckle up, people.
Okay. So officially when I walked in, it was a 5 out of 10. Then it went down to a 3 out of 10, and then it went
Damn.
down to a 2 out of 10.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
God. It was not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my 1 star is for animation. My 0.5 stars for the blood and gore and the fighting.
What?
Well, you know what?
What?
0.5, 2.5, because I want to make that. That was actually really good. So one is for the story. I mean,
Are
forget
you
the
rating
storyline.
this on a 10 point level, or are
No,
you
he's
rating it?
telling he's telling you how the points are distributed.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
one is for the animation. The second star is for fighting, and the 0.5 is for the beginning. That's it. Nothing else to it. I did not like anything else. It was
And
just too corny.
You didn't think Johnny Cage was funny?
No, I thought that was cheesy.
God.
I honestly thought that was everything about it was cheesy.
so you didn't like the nut
I,
shots?
Oh, you know what? No, that kind of like.
See, I
Oh,
knew there was something there.
you didn't like the fight between Scorpion and Quan Chi?
no,
He actually
no,
didn't.
What?
no. That
Wow.
was
Okay.
complete no.
The first fight where he got like totally crushed into like a little ball, you didn't like that either?
I mean, I guess that was kind of cool, but then just no.
You didn't like the Goro fatality?
No.
Finish him.
No.
X-rays?
Are you even a fan of Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, of course I am. Well, I'm not as big as a fan as Andre, because I don't really know that much about it, and I don't really play it that much. But no,
I have beaten you
it was
in it.
cheesy. Huh?
I have beaten you in it.
All right.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
2.5.
So 2.5. That's what you're going with.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. You heard it here first.
All right.
2.5.
Damn.
That's gonna bring down the weighted average big time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He usually does. He's
Yeah.
the other end of the bell curve.
That's okay.
You know, I feel like we need to have the Get Geek average and then Eli's average. Eli needs to be Eli is like the Stephen A. Smith of this podcast. He gets his own corner. He gets his own reviews. He gets his own say. It doesn't necessarily reflect the opinions of
I'm
the
Gordon
podcast.
Ramsay in a nutshell. I'm freaking Gordon Ramsay.
Wow.
Oh man.
Podcast.
Yeah.
There you go.
On the Gordon Ramsay reviews.
Let's get the shout about how bad movies are for a while. All right. Okay, so that's our review then of Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge. A decent film, as always, brought down by the weighted average of Eli, who has hated almost every film that we've reviewed recently, at least. And that's okay, because that's your opinion, and you are entitled to it, and we welcome it.
It's like the Boba Fett of reviewers.
Yo,
Don't start. Listen. It's whenever I get into these podcasts, I either have to listen to Walt and Wolfie argue about Darth Maul and Boba Fett, or Eli and AJ argue about which characters are better in Dragon Ball Legends. So, I don't know. I need to have somebody that I can have weekly arguments with, I guess, on the podcast.
What we need to do? We need to have an episode where we talk about Boba Fett and Darth Maul, and then we need to have another episode where these two guys can just hash it out, with Dragon Ball.
You know what? Why don't we do this? I'd like to do an IG live, kind of talk. We can me and you can talk, and we can have Mortal Kombat over Boba Fett and Darth Maul, and we could just make it live so that all our followers can, listen in and check us out.
I don't think I have the stomach for it.
Since I have always ended up being in the middle of these roasts, I can moderate both of these debates, if you will. End up being in the middle of these anyway. So
I may get indigestion. So
actually,
you're literally saying you don't have the stomach for this?
I don't have the stomach for it.
Is it because you're just
it may take 1,000 what is it, 10,000 years before I can digest this
is it because your debating skills are only half as good?
Yeah, I'm ending this debate now because we're saving this for later. All right.
Yeah, we gotta end this episode. So,
all right, guys. So, as always, I just want to say thanks to all of the fans out there. We want to thank you again for all of your recent listens. And as you guys know, we no longer have our original Instagram account, Get Geek News, but you can still find us on Instagram at Get Geek Podcast. So look us up there. We want to engage with you guys there a little bit more. Like Wolfie said, we're going to try to do some more content on IG Live and some conversations with you guys that we can have face-to-face, live and in person about all things geek. Look us up on all of your favorite podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify is a big one. You can search for us on all those platforms. Like I said, subscribe to our podcast. That's something that we would hugely appreciate, massively appreciate, totally appreciate from you guys if you would subscribe to our podcast. And we also have a website, getgeeknews.captivate.fm. That's getgeeknews.captivate.fm. And I'm done advertising for now. Like, share, rate, subscribe. As always, we want to thank you guys for showing up. And of course, as always, from all of us at the Get Geek podcast crew, stay geeky, my friends.